Hey there, adventurers. Hope everybody can hear me okay. Getting ready to start the stream here in just a second. How's everybody doing tonight? Hello, Zoe. Yeah, Lixie MC, stop spamming caps. She's not spamming caps. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to... So this is actually the second Short Rest Studios Craft and Chat. But the first one was a members only post that I did a while back, which, if you've seen it, which you probably haven't, I actually painted this little guy, and I'm not actually completely done with this. Let's make the camera to focus on him. The camera doesn't want to focus on him. Okay, well, the camera wants to focus down here. So I started on him in that last craft and chat that I did, and I got part. Well, I was actually painting him for a customer, and I got part way through, and I noticed that his ear was broken, and I thought, well, crud, I can't give this to my customer, so I'll keep it myself. I haven't finished it. Still got some highlighting and stuff to do on him, but he's looking pretty good so far. But I thought tonight I would concentrate on his base, and this is the base. This is a pretty cool base. I mean, I don't know if you can see all the detail. Probably not, since I can't get the camera to focus on, let's see here. I apologize if the camera moves around a little bit here for a second. I'm just trying to turn the... Huh. Okay. Yeah, I can't get it to focus, but sorry. My stream title didn't get changed, even though the event that I had scheduled tonight, so on Twitch, so the event I had scheduled tonight was called Craft and Chat. So there we go. And it's still... All right, so I'm kind of new. For those of you watching on YouTube, I'm also streaming it on Twitch right now, and I'm kind of new to Twitch, so there's a couple of things wrong with my stream over there. It's running, but there we go. Craft and Chat. All right. So the plan tonight is, again, I did this guy a while back. I will make the video public where I did that, even though it's me painting and talking to myself for a couple hours. And so tonight I'm going to paint his base. And I forgot to prime it. So I primed it right before this. And the top is a tiny bit tacky still, but I think it'll be okay. And I don't know how much detail you can see here, but as I said, I cannot get, for some reason the autofocus isn't working on the camera, and it won't focus in closer up. So but you may not be able to see, there's a lot of detail on here actually. On the ground there's rocks, there's sticks, there's a part of a log here. So what I'm planning on doing is basically doing a lot of browns on the ground, and I'll highlight some, and I'm probably gonna put, I've got some grass flocking here that I'll probably put in a couple of spots, just to liven it up a little bit. And I'll do this stone that he's standing on, and other rocks too, in a gray dry brush, kind of similar to what I would do on dungeon tiles. So and just a heads up tonight as I get started, please feel free and to join the chat and give me some pointers or ask some questions, whatever you would like to do. But also, it would mean a lot if you would go at least check out the membership levels on the Adventurers Guild on Patreon. Patreon.com/shortreststudios. Right now is a time of a lot of need for us right now, so it would be really helpful if even for a month or two folks could join in on the Adventurers Guild and give us a little financial support. That would be a big help. So let's get going. All right, so the first thing I'm probably going to do here is just start laying down a coat of just straight up brown. Shake the paint up a little bit. Sorry for the noise. Just trying to get everything situated here. There we go. Shaking up the paint. A little brown paint on my palette. And I'm going to use, first off, my number 2 brush. And a little bit of water. Mix it in with some of this paint. If you're hearing noise, it's my family coming home. Every door in this house makes ridiculous noise, and my dog has to shake constantly when people come home. So there you go. He's going to make a bunch of noise. So, all right. I'm just going to, and this is my first coat, so there's really not, I don't have to be too careful. I'm not trying to do detail paints here, but I'm going to avoid like stones as much as possible. Anywhere that I think I might put grass, I'm going to go ahead and paint it brown because that'll have that brown, the brown underlay like you would have with the dirt under your grass. So need a little more water. The paint's still pretty thick, so just having trouble spreading it around. And also, the reason you're not seeing my face is I'm blind when it comes to this stuff. So I've got this big visor on my head, magnifying visor. And also, you'll notice I'm on the edges of the base. I'm not too worried about getting past the edges. I mean, I try to avoid it again, past the edges down onto the part that I want to be black anyway, but I'll just hit that with some black paint Oh, I hit the microphone. Hit that with some black paint later to just clean it up. That's the thing. You know, you can mess up when you're painting a mini. And the truth of the matter is you can never mess anything up so bad that you can't fix it, right? You can always paint over it. And if you've painted over it too many times, you can always go get something and strip the paint. So, looks like I missed the primer mist. Hopefully the paint will still hold. This is a 3D printed mini, so like if this were one of those WizKids minis, of course you wouldn't necessarily have to paint it. You might want to prime it. You might want to have to clean it up first. Speaking of WizKids minis, did you guys hear, I'm sure that you did, about what happened with the much anticipated Baldur's Gate 3 series of minis that they put out? They released them recently, and they were god-awful. They were painted, of course, and like just the most god-awful paint jobs. Like worse. I mean, frankly, every time I look at a painted WizKids mini, you know, you're not paying anywhere near what you would pay an individual to custom paint one for you when you buy WizKids minis. But I always kind of think, it doesn't look great. But you get what you pay for. Like, you know, they're fine. You put them on your table and they're fine. But these guys, like, go Google the pictures, man. They were just awful. Like, faces were unrecognizable, really, because of so much paint glopped on. It's pretty. Okay, and the rest of this is rock. So I might actually need to give that base a little time to dry, because I don't know if I'm quite ready to paint the stone yet. This one really isn't going to take very long. Probably not going to take the whole 2 hours we have scheduled for tonight, but we can figure out something else to do. My friend Dave has a wonderful habit that I would really like to start, of painting for an hour a day. You know, because one of the dumb things we do is we get a million minis because they're so cool, and we never paint them. The pile of shame, man. And I will show you one of the pieces on my pile of shame. I've had it for about a year. And this is it's a red dragon from Reaper, and I freaking love this mini. And if you watch the channel, you've probably noticed it sitting on a shelf behind me, remaining unpainted this entire time, but it looks so cool I have to display it. I gotta freaking paint this thing, and I'm really excited to paint it. Sometimes it is really hard to motivate yourself to do it, you know? But anyway, he's pretty cool. So probably on a craft and chat pretty soon, we'll paint him. I'm going to use my airbrush to at least to prime him. So, and maybe to do some more, and I won't be able to do that on the live stream, I don't think, because I can't do it here in my desk. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Hey, somebody else just joined the stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. I forgot to get out my black paint. So I'm going to grab some of my, and listen, this is not a commercial for Vallejo paints, and I know that there's been a lot of unsavory stuff that happened not too long ago with them. But I genuinely love this product. Like, I've used other paints a little bit, but not too much. I keep meaning to try them out, but I have so many of these. I bought. You can get the kits sets for pretty cheap on Amazon. So I bought this game color set and a game ink set. And one of their regular color sets on Amazon. Then a friend of mine decided he had all these paints. I think he was trying out different kinds, and he had all these different kinds of paints, and he just gave me like all of them. So I've got even more Vallejo paints, and sorry, I know that's not. It's hard to remember sometimes to put it in the right spot so that you guys can see, because I get so focused on what I'm doing. I'm trying to make sure right now that I got everything that needs to be brown. And I apologize, my allergies have been killing me for like a couple of weeks. If you watch the regular episodes on the YouTube channel, you may have noticed my voice being a little weird. And yeah, I've just been dealing with allergies for a while. I got all kinds of crud in my throat and my head. So, okay, I think that's... You guys see any spots I missed? Probably not. I'll work on figuring out why that camera doesn't want to focus on the base for next time. So my plan is to do this every other week, every other Tuesday night. But I discovered that there's some family stuff going on tonight. So if I do it every other Tuesday from tonight, then it's going to be on the same night as my family stuff every time. So what I might do is actually do this again next week and then get on the 2-week rotation from there. So give me a thumbs up in the chat if you think that's a good idea. All right. So now I'm going to go back over with some of these rocks here. I forgot to get water. Okay. Where the brown overlapped. Well, shoot, I thinned that paint out too much. I was afraid I was going to do that. So for the longest time, when I was younger, I've always thought that I'm not going to mess with that yet because I'm going to do more painting. But these rocks, see, this is the thing. I'll try to get some of these, and then I'll probably just have to go back and do it again later. I mean, honestly, I could paint, because that's just primer. I could just go ahead and put a paint coat of this black on everything. So when I was a kid, I was always fascinated by miniature things. Model trains, miniatures. There was if you've ever been, I live in Texas. I didn't grow up in Texas, but my dad lived in Texas has lived in Texas my entire life, pretty much. And look, I just went too far with the black. That's okay. Like I said, there's never anything you can't fix if you mess it up. Even when you start putting bubbles and everything, like I'm doing right now. So when I was a kid, we went to visit the Alamo. That was where I was going with that. And I went there for the first time, and I still think this is cool. There's a model of the Alamo, of the battle, that was used it was made using miniatures, and they did that thing where they have like cotton to represent like all the smoke from the rifles, and a whole model of the battlefield. And I just thought it was so cool when I was a kid. Um, is actually a memory that has stuck with me. But I've always been fascinated with these things, and I never did it as a youngster. I never did this kind of stuff as a youngster, like as fascinated as I was by it, because of two things. I didn't think I'd have the patience, and I didn't think I'd be very good at it. And I don't know if I'm good at it. I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm not. I got a friend named Lawrence who has a business called D&D Painted Minis here in the DFW area, and he does fantastic work. I am not as good as him by any means. Like, I'm not gonna have a channel teaching you guys how to paint. I just do this so I can come hang out with you. But if you do have questions, about anything I'm doing, please feel free to ask. So I did not think I'd be very good at it, and I didn't think I'd have the patience. And I was right about the patience, but eventually I decided to do it because I thought, like, why am I letting that stop me from doing something that I think I probably will get a lot of fulfillment out of? Because, I love these things. I think they look so cool, and I'd love to be able to paint them. And I, of course, I'm, into D&D, and minis are a really fun part of the D&D hobby. These guys right here are little stones. I'm just going to hit them with some black. Although, even if I didn't, it probably wouldn't be noticeable. That's a part of a plant or something right there. It's weird. Actually kind of looks like a dead animal or something. This is the thing, man. I'm not even 100% sure. I thought that was a stick, but the more I look at it, it's like a dead rabbit or something. See, there's a little foot. I don't know, man. I don't know what that is. We'll just say it's a root or something, because I really have no clue. And the rest of this stuff is just sticks and roots. So here's the other thing about painting this base, that I'm not going to worry a ton about how stuff looks on down here. In some respects, some of it I will, but I'm gonna put, like, if I've gone over a little bit on the black or whatever, or even if I had left some of the brown up on the rocks, I can, when I put the grass on, it'll cover some of that up. So it looks like we got in the YouTube chat, Timothy. Yes, I did print the holder. This is from Loot Studios, actually. I really like this one. I'm not a huge fan of the rubber band thing. It's just kind of annoying. But the good thing about it is, if it breaks, you can just put another rubber band on it. And yeah, this is from Loot Studios. I actually printed it with filament. It's not, Loot Studios has started doing some FDM models now, but at the time they didn't. I've had this for a couple of years. At the time they didn't, and I just decided to print it with filament because I was like, that is going to use so much resin. And it actually, you can actually look at it and see right here. It's very messed up right here with these overhangs and stuff, but it's solid. Like I also, it was one of the first things I printed on a filament printer. I had no idea what I was doing. So, but yeah, I like this a lot. Actually, I have, and it's nice. I have one of the Citadel ones, and it's really nice, and it fits in the hand nicely. But honestly, this one I like. There's my Displacer beast. I like the way this one fits in my hand better, just because it's a little bigger. Although this one, I mean, it's good, and it's the springs in here hold pretty tight. But and this guy also has a base, so I mean it actually stands up pretty well on its own, but it's a little more sturdy on the base, which is nice. Because if if you're halfway done with painting something, and you need to leave it sitting for a while, there you go. But I mean, I don't actually like a lot of the Citadel. I don't like their paints. I've never actually used the paints. Okay, so take that with a grain of salt. But I don't like the paint pots. I really like these dropper bottles because I can put the paint on a palette easier and that kind of thing. I'm not a big fan of the paint pots. I think they have some amazing colors, and so sometimes like I think about getting some Citadel paints because I love the colors and just putting them in dropper bottles, but I haven't done that yet. Yeah, Timothy, you should really. I mean, if you guys saw me, like, okay, for instance, when I was painting this guy, I actually painted it just holding it in my hand, and it is a pain. And because you're going to get paint on your fingers, and sometimes you'll smudge the paint or wipe it off. But the reason I did that with this one is because the customer I was doing it for did not want the base. He's actually putting some minis in a like a diorama display, and that's what he wanted to do with it. So I did several for him, and I've had to paint all of them without using the holder. So there you go. Sorry if I didn't see that very too soon enough after you posted it. Appreciate the question. Please keep them coming. You notice I sound a little bit better when I drink some water. Man, it's taking a lot longer to dry than I feel like it usually does. So I think what I'm going to do now, so I've got this log here and these other little sticks, and I think I'm going to attempt I'm going to attempt to do a little highlighting on those guys. And yes, dry brushing is the cheater method, but I like dry brushing, and when you do it well, which sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, when you do it well, it's really nice. Now, these two colors look pretty much identical to me: Beastie Brown and Earth. And they look, I mean, the Earth might have a little bit more warmth. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I won't. I'm gonna use some BC Brown, and I'm gonna get out. So let me show you my brushes too, okay? Because I really like these brushes. Don't use Citadel brushes. I was talking about Citadel stuff earlier. Citadel brushes are crap, and you pay not a premium for them, but they're more expensive than other brush brands, and they suck. I would just as soon go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby and pick up some of their so-called professional brushes, which are not, but they're better quality, or maybe close to the same quality, maybe better as Citadel brushes, but you don't pay as much for them. And I actually do have quite a few brushes, the artist level brushes from Michael's. that I use quite a bit. For terrain, use crappy brushes. You just buy the cheap craft brushes. It's fine. But these guys, so this is a Rhapsody number 2 Kolinsky Sable. This is my big one. And the problem is you see these numbers, number 1, number 2. This is a number 1. This is a, what's the brand? It's actually a better known brand. Yeah, it's a Winsor & Newton Series 7. This is also a number 2. They're the same type of brush and the same number. But you can see, and that's the thing I learned, is that there's no standard for these. People talk about a number 1, number 2 brush. Usually a number 1 that I've seen is very small, like this, and is good for detail work. You don't necessarily have to have multiple brushes to paint minis. I will say, I have found it, like you can get a really nice point on this big brush. And it's really great for doing stuff like wet blending and things like that, which you probably won't ever see me do on a mini because I'm not that good at it. But at least not one that's small. I might try it on the Dragon. You can get a good point on this, but I still wouldn't try to paint eyes on a miniature. Yeah, I do that with this one. So, let's see here. I'm going to use this guy and get a little bit of this beastie brown on here. And what I want to do, I'm going to kind of start highlighting this log here. And just a little bit. I'm going to get some kind of broad highlights, and I'll decide. And the thing, I'm kind of almost over brushing here, because on some of these rough places I'm kind of using it like a dry brush, because I'm not getting, but that's essentially what overbrushing is. It's just a little heavier than a dry brush. I think I got a little more paint than I meant to there. I actually think there's another stone right there. So what I'm trying to do is just get the high spots on this, okay? And like I said, I'm almost dry brushing this. I have such a small amount of paint on the brush. And hey, you guys over on Twitch, my daughter is Lixie MC there, who you see in the chat on Twitch. And she is streaming she streamed last night for the first time her playthrough of the Five Nights at Freddy's security breach game. So you should check that out. If you're into that kind of thing, go check it out. She's got a lot of personality. I don't know where she gets that from. I think she just heard what I said. I think she's listening to this. I think she's watching the live stream in the other room. I don't know if you guys heard that. She just yelled, "I am." Anyway. So you see, if you have, okay, look and see, sometimes guys, you discover things as you're painting these little guys, especially if you're blind like me. That looks like there's little mushrooms growing on the side of that log. So that's something. That's something, a fun little detail to deal with. I think that looks all right. I think I might want to get a little more of the light color here. That looks pretty good. And we may do more highlights, like some other colors or something. I do need to get in there. See, I knew I was going to miss some spots. Huh. So, Elixir, you gotta stop. You gotta stop with the. You gotta stop with the caps. It doesn't like that. I probably need to go change that setting. I have a bot helping me moderate because it is really hard to keep up with this stuff on Twitch, and my daughter keeps sending me messages in all caps, and the bot doesn't like that. So I'm gonna get a little bit of this other brown again because I missed inside the log here on the end. I probably need to touch up my highlights a little bit too when I'm done with that. That's not too bad, but I can see I've got some other areas right over here where I need to hit the highlight again. So if you're not an experienced painter, I'm not a super experienced painter, but I might be more experienced than you. Always have a paper towel in hand. So whenever I clean off my brush in the paint cup, I just kind of wipe it off there. And then, because I want to make sure I get all the old color out. And then if I need to mix some water into my paint, I get a little bit on the brush and then I dip it into the paint. But I don't need to do that right now. So, Beastie Brown. Yeah, I will say about Vallejo, they have a ton of brown, shades of brown, and that kind of all look the same to me. Okay. I think I might want to tag the ends of these two just to bring that detail out. And there's a little like double layer there. Probably want to. That's the thing. This is how you bring out the details in these things. Is just give it a little highlight. I feel like I could get a little more on the end here. Okay, so those little bits look like they dried, so I'm just going to tag the end here with a little bit of that highlight color. It's already starting to look like a little bit of something, huh? Yeah, I can see a couple more stones I've got in there. And now we've got like this stick right here. So, and this is really, and this feels like a weird time to do highlighting. I'm just going to tell you guys, I do everything out of order. Like the way that I do these things makes no sense. I just kind of do stuff as I think about it. I don't generally go in with a plan. Like what you heard me talking about earlier, that's more plan. You know, when I told you what I was going to do, more plan than I usually have. I usually just sit down with it and go. Now, here's the other thing that I'm doing here. There's another stone that I missed right there. One of the tricks is, like I told you, you can do this without worrying too much about getting your paint on, getting your highlight color on the places that you don't necessarily want it. You don't have to worry too much about it, because when I go put that grass down in some of these places, like I'm planning to put some grass here in this area where I just sort of hit that little stick there. And you'll put the grass down over it and it'll cover it up. And what I'm going to do is I'll put glue. The paint will be dry, and I'll put a bit of glue around it. I won't put glue on it. If I do, it'll be just on the edges of it. And so I can just dump the grass on it and then dump it off, and what's stuck to the glue will not cover up the stick, and that's the garbage disposal, if you heard that. So that is so weird, man. Like, I feel like that should just be a root, but it, like, I don't know if you see, it looks like there's a leg here and a leg here and like the bunny's tail. Like, it almost looks like a dead rabbit. hopefully it'll look more like a stick after I highlight it. And the other thing that you can do, since we talked about dry brushing, and I'm not really dry brushing, but if we were, you can just brush. This would have this perfect paper for. You can just brush the excess paint off on that. And one of the nice things about that is, rather than doing it on a paper towel, is that with a paper towel, it actually soaks up the moisture from the paint. And in the case of this, using the parchment, it does not take moisture out. It just takes the color, the paint itself, the color. And so you still have a good bit of moisture on your brush, which just makes it paint better, makes it smoother. So I'm essentially doing the same thing here, just hitting the high spots. And I'll do the same thing over here because I'm planning on putting grass over here too. And the thing is, like, you can see the details come out, and it's because I'm painting so lightly. You just don't want to ever use too much paint, and I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make. Like those folks, whoever painted those Baldur's Gate 3 minis for WizKids. Speaking of Baldur's Gate 3, I'm doing a Baldur's Gate 3 hang here live. You can check out the schedule. I have it scheduled for every Friday. I'm not sure if I'm going to do every Friday or not, and that's on Twitch for those watching on YouTube. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it every Friday or every other Friday or pick a different night. I don't know. Probably not going to do it every Friday because that will almost guarantee that I'll have to cancel it sometimes. All right. I think those look all right. Oh, there's another one. There's another one right there. Okay. We can grab that too. Okay. And the other thing about this is, like, these are all organic shapes. Like, you know, into my mind, like, this is either like super dirty or sitting out in the woods rotting. And so it doesn't have to look perfect to have a realistic look. You know what I mean? Those actually look all right, like that. I might hit it with a little black wash, which will bring out a little more of the detail, make it a little more dingy. Because I probably will do that with the stone. Now, let's see. I think I'm going to try to clean up some of this black again a little bit. Add a little bit of brown to cover up some of the spots. Dang, man, that brown paint dried up pretty quick. Brown. What did I do with my brown? That's pretty funny. There it is. And in case you're wondering, yes, the Vallejo game colors are different from their model colors, which is their standard stuff. Some of the colors are the same. Some of the colors are the same, like black, white. I'm pretty sure those are basically the same color. Brown might be, but most of the game colors are have much more pigment. They're much more vibrant than the model color equivalents, because the model color are really meant for realism, and the game color stuff is really meant for like gaming stuff, you know, the stuff that you want to have kind of a stronger, more bold look, and not necessarily to be realistic. I can just tell you, with this base, I don't know if there's any way that I ever would have been able to just paint this. And then I'll show you, like, I'm not the absolute best painter. I'm decent. I'm a good hobby painter, you know. But I don't think I could have just painted this base. Like, I think I'm gonna have to give it some flocking, stuff like that, just to make it look okay. You know what I mean? Got a little bit of brown on the rock where I didn't want it. But the good thing about that is, let's see here. Let's see if I can get that. Because I got some up on the log. And I may have to repaint part of that log. That's a stone. That's a stone. That's actually stone right there. So, alright, so I gotta come back and hit some of those little stones I missed with some black. And then once I do that, I can brush on some gray. So let me get some black here. And just very carefully try to, and now see, this is where having a tiny little brush like this comes in handy, because you can get those details. Go right up to the edge. Okay. And I do typically take this much time with everything when I'm painting a miniature. And I go way overboard. It honestly takes me forever to paint minis. I hope you guys can hear me okay. My voice is kind of going now. Okay, there's a little, I need to fix that. Okay. A little bit of stone right here. And the other thing about these is that every little detail doesn't have to be perfect, because that's dirt, man. It's dirt. So, you know, dirt by definition is not perfect. And now I'm just kind of looking to see if there's anything else I need to hit. And the dog's barking. Oh, right there. What in the world is he barking at? And now my daughter's out there getting onto the dog. I think that's some stone right there too. We'll call it that. Now, I said dry brushing earlier, but I'm going to overbrush the gray onto the stones. So it will be a fairly thick coat. But the idea is to coat it on pretty good, but then still leave some of the lower spots. It's almost like a very heavy highlight, but leave some of the lower spots black, so that when you it just creates a lot more variation with the highlights. Golly. See this one? I mean, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a spot right there where I just went right up onto that log with the black. But the other good thing about that is we can drop some grass down there. You won't even know it. Because listen, the grass would, if the log's been there long enough, the grass will grow up on the side of that log, right? It's actually one of my favorite things is doing bases, because I love adding those little details that just, they really make it pop to me, and they're super easy, man. Adding flocking and that kind of stuff to make grass, and you know, adding little flowers and all kinds of stuff. That stuff's so easy. And I grab a drink of water. So now I actually think I see a couple of spots I'm going to hit with my brown highlight again. Because I do want to make sure that I finish this highlight before I move on to. And I mean, to be honest, I probably should have waited to do this until after I did this stone. But it's okay. If I have to redo it, I'll redo it. Like I said, what am I doing? I didn't want to do that. I don't plan. So I'm just going to go with it until it looks done. Got any thoughts about the state of the TTRPG world? You want to talk about D&D or any other TTRPG besides D&D? Okay. I think... You know what? I have an idea. I'm going to grab some of this. No, not that. Khaki. Faux dry brush with some of this. Because what I'm seeing here, I need to get some more of that off of there. Okay. What I'm seeing over here some more of that off of there. Yeah, that's not really working the way I wanted it to, but oh well. Okay, that's all right. I was trying something, didn't work. Almost put my paintbrush in my drink. That is a real danger. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit that. Cover that back up because that didn't work. And see, this is what I mean. It's easy, man, to just try something. If it doesn't work, paint over it. I think if I dry brushed this, it would do what I wanted, but I just don't think I want to sweat it. I don't want to sweat it too much, and I don't have anything that I could dry brush reliably with. This is that small, because I'm not an expert by any means. Okay, I think it is probably time to get started with the gray, which somehow I got out and didn't put on the desk here. Or actually, you know what? I didn't get it out. I couldn't find it earlier. That's not it. Amuse yourselves while I'm trying to find my gray paint. There it is. All right. I hope you could hear me. I was facing the other way. I know we've had a few people go in and out on the Twitch stream, so thank you guys for being with us this evening. I do, for those of you who don't know, who may be new to the channel, new to Short Rest Studios, my name is Judd, and I do weekly D&D TTRPG content on YouTube. Oh, that's not the brush I want to use. Put out an episode every Friday, and I'm kind of new to the live streaming thing. I've done it once or twice. I've done a few live play games on YouTube and that kind of thing, but giving Twitch a try too. So, and this, so check me out, YouTube on Short Rest Studios. Every Friday morning I put out a new video. And I'm posting shorts and stuff all the time. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the socials. You can see all of that. Okay, I cannot get... This brush is really wet. I can't seem to get enough paint off of it to do what I'm trying to do here. Okay. There we go. That's a little better. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. I might have to do a couple of coats of it just because it's so thin. I think I just got it a little too thin. But you see, I'm just lightly brushing it. I mean, this is kind of the method that you use for dry brushing. I just have a little more paint on it than you would for dry brushing. And it's a little streaky, but that's because it's just not, it's too thin. Okay. Okay, I am gonna go back and hit, like the edges. I'm gonna go in and hit them with a smaller brush so I can get the detail. Get the edges, pretty straight. I don't want to be too sloppy. I want it to look good. I'm using my parchment here a little bit too because I'm having trouble getting enough paint off of this brush to. And so I don't know if you can see, but you can see the angles in these stones. Like there's a sharp edge right there. And one of the things you want to do is just kind of brush across those sharp edges and the deep recesses, and that will cause them to be brought out a little more. And it's also okay, like if down near the bottom of these, if there's a little extra black, because maybe they're in shadow, right? Happy little rocks in the shadows. I'm just gonna be the Bob Ross of mini painting. If I don't get a haircut soon, I may look a lot like Bob Ross. And there you go. That looks like crap. But that's just because it needs another coat. Okay. Yeah, it's coming together okay. But you can see how it's bringing out the detail. But like I said, I do need to do some more, do another coat. So, and then I'll get the small brush and kind of do the smaller stones on the bottom, that kind of stuff. It's looking all right. And actually, I mean, the streaks on stuff like this don't bother me that much because it's a rock. It's going to be, it's going to have a lot of different variations in color and surfaced yeah, gosh, sometimes your vocabulary just leaves you, right, guys? Texture. So it's gonna have lots of different, colors and textures, even if it's gray, right? And I hit the microphone again with my giant paintbrush. The only thing I don't like about this brush, the handle is massive. It's really long, but it was the only one like this I could find at the time that I bought it. So I'm just gonna go back over all this. So when you're painting things like this, they don't have to be perfect. Ever. And I think even the folks who are the expert mini painters will tell you that too. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, I'm not painting this to be an art piece. I mean, I do want to look at it and say, hey, I'm proud of how that came out. But I'm not painting it to be an art piece. I'm painting it to use on a table. I'm going to have an encounter with a Displacer beast just so I can use this mini. And I don't know if I have anything coming up that it would make any sense to use a Displacer beast for. So I may just have to manufacture something. Or maybe I'll do one of my adventure seeds. I'll include a Displacer beast in that, and one of those. For those of you who don't know, I do have the Patreon. We call it the Adventurers Guild around here. And if you provide me with any financial support through Twitch or through the Adventurers Guild on Patreon, or by joining the channel on YouTube, you are a member of the Adventurers Guild. But one of the benefits that I offer to the Adventurers Guild on Patreon is a quarterly adventure seed that I write. So it's not a full adventure, and this really is about time, guys. Like, unfortunately, this is not my full-time job. I wish it was. Life would be a lot easier right now, to be honest. I wish it was my full-time job, but it's not. So I have to think about that I don't necessarily have the time to sit down and write a whole adventure every quarter if I'm gonna be doing other things in my life, like having a job, having a family, playing D&D for example, or whatever other games I may be playing, which those things are hard to do too, right? It's hard to, you love the game, but it's so hard sometimes because everybody's got lives, and it's hard to get people together sometimes. I'm talking to my friends, Jason and Sharissa and Sarah and Sean, my not even semi-regular D&D group. Giving them a hard time. They're probably not watching this. Okay, I need to get a little more paint. It's looking all right. So I do find this particular shade of gray a little bit light. For a lot of the stone I like to do, but what I will do is excuse me. But what I'll do is I'm going to highlight it, and the highlights will be with probably bone white. I'll highlight it, and so then it'll look really light, and I'll add some black wash. And the black wash will make it look dingier, darken it up a little bit, even out the colors so that the highlights are maybe not quite as stark, which is a helpful touch. So I'm kind of, and you'll notice too, I'm not trying to hit necessarily all the same spots with this coat of gray that I hit with the last one. Like not everything is getting both coats, right? Okay. You can see right there I got a little bit on the brown, but you know what, that's not really an issue. Okay. These look pretty good. Sorry, I know I keep I probably need to position the camera a little further out. Okay, I'm gonna add a little more gray down there. That's a little too much black showing through. Okay, I think that is pretty good, and now I'm gonna do some more of this gray around the edges with my smaller detail brush. I was trying to say a moment ago, I know I keep bringing this too close, and hopefully I'm keeping it on the screen all the time. join the Adventurers Guild on Patreon. Who's with me? Give me a shout out. Give me a shout out if you're still watching. Okay, so now, yeah, I'm just trying to get some of these little ones down here at the bottom, fill in the... And like I said, it's okay to leave some of the edges like black, because it actually kind of brings things out a little more. But you don't want to leave too much, because then it just looks like you didn't finish, and it may affect how your grass looks and that kind of thing down there, depending on where you put it all. And now where I am going to dry brush it for sure is I'm going to hit these stones with a dry brush of bone white, as I was saying earlier, and that's going to hit the edges, like the corners and the little spiky parts, and really bring stuff out, kind of like what I did with the logs, only you're probably going to notice a lot more detail. I have this whole system for painting stone. For whatever reason, I guess because, you know, I'm obsessed with dungeons and my Dungeons and Dragons. And when I say Dungeons and Dragons, I really just mean TTRPGs in general. I do play D&D. I have a group that meets every Tuesday, every other Tuesday. We're playing through Phandelver and Below the Shattered Obelisk. Shout out to my people in my Phandelver campaign. And, you know, I do have a group of friends that get together too and play periodically when we can. It's kind of we have a lot of stuff going on, so we don't meet as regularly as we would all like to, and I'm not going to worry too much about some of these indentations, because those are actually the footprints where the Displacer Beast's feet go. So, you know, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to color those in very much. And right now all I'm doing is just trying to get these edges, these bottom edges, and if you can see, I don't know if you can, I'm leaving a very little bit of black at the bottom, because that kind of helps create the impression of shadow and just bring out the detail and the separation of the stone from the rest of the ground. Well, I kind of got in there more than I wanted to, but it's all right. Okay. I think that's good enough to start highlighting it with white. What do you guys think? How's it look? And now I'm going to actually use what I use for dry brushing. So this is, the ladies out there may recognize, and it's stained because I've done so much with it, but it's a makeup brush. When you're dry brushing, you don't want to get your brush wet, and having something that's domed like this and very floppy. This one is great for larger areas. I think it'll be okay for this stone. Like, I can hit most of it. I may have to come back and do some of the edges with a smaller brush, but oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, I got the wrong color paint on it. That was bright. That was brilliant. It's okay. That's one of the nice things about dry brushing, though. You can just get off enough paint that it doesn't matter, and it's really okay. And I'm not using a straight up white. I'm using bone white, which has a little bit of brown to it, and it's a little bit duller because the white is bright white. And I really want something a little more, bump the microphone again, something a little more earthy, and not as stark. So you can kind of see it's almost a tan color, right? Like if I painted bone with this, I would paint it with this, and then I'd do a little highlighting in bright white. the trick is you want to be very loose with it, and you want to brush across the edges, right? And it's okay, like you're gonna get stuff in different little spots, right? That maybe you didn't think you were gonna get and didn't think you wanted to get. But, and there are people out there who say, no, you don't want brush strokes when you're dry brushing. Maybe not. Maybe they're right, maybe they're not. You see how much more detail you can see there, and it looks a little warmer, a little more organic. Okay. And it's like down here in these spots, I really need to get a smaller brush, but I probably just did that faster than I would have done with using a smaller brush the whole time. So I think that looks pretty cool, but it will also get darkened up. Now I gotta try to get the rest of that, as much of that color off of there as I can. So, okay, because I'll probably want to use it for something else again. Now this is fun. This is an easy one. Get a little more Stonewall gray. Okay. Now, I'm using my detail brush for this one, but I'm kind of going to do it like I did before with the Beastie Brown. And just remember, especially with these little tiny stuff, like I'm looking at this thing through a magnifier too, so like I'm gonna like it looks awful, and then I'll take the magnifier off and that doesn't look that bad. Looks kind of cool. But also, you're just it's supposed to be fun, guys. Just be patient and try to learn. That's one of the important things, is just try to learn how to do stuff. And I mean, honestly, like I've learned to do enough that I feel happy with most of the miniatures that I paint. I don't know how to do everything. I don't have all the skills of a professional painter. A great mini painter like, say, Dracoya Minis or Dr. Faust, both of whom I follow here. Try to get a little more. It's tough because I'm trying not to get too much paint on it. But there are just places where I need to get a little further down to get that covered up so it'll look right. I think that's good. So now I'm going to rinse that out. I'm going to grab some more of this bone white now. And I'm going to try to get around some of these smaller areas where I couldn't quite with the bigger brush. And this is what I mean when you're painting things like this. Like I'm painting dungeon tiles, I'm painting rocks. I don't really care so much about the brush strokes because there's so much color variation in natural objects. Now see, that's a cool little area right there. I'm gonna get down here with it, with this guy, because I can get in some of these little areas, and There we go. That looks pretty cool. All right. And that's, again, a footprint, so. Okay. I think that looks pretty darn good. And right now, it's a little too bright, but like I said, I'm going to hit it with some black wash, and then I'll kind of tone it down and bring it together. And you hear people talking about, you know, dry brushing or black washing. That's cheating. Who cares, man? Who cares? You're just trying to make it. You want to play a game with this on your table. You know, you're not trying to. We're not showing it off as a piece of art, right? I mean, if you can, great. That's awesome. Just don't fall into that trap of comparing yourself to professional painters, right? Because 99% of us are never going to be that person. I dropped my paper towel. All right. Looking pretty good so far. All right. Where are we at? Hour 21. All right. So now, I think what I'm going to do real quick is I got some of my bone white on one of my little sticks here. So I'm just going to kind of have to go back in and fix that back up. So I'll hit it with this. And then I'll probably go in and hit it with some more beastie brown too, just to hit those highlights again. I'm trying to decide if I should use some of the, what do you guys think? Should I use some of that bone white, like dry brush some of those highlights on the logs with bone white too, or let it go? Because I think it might make them look too dead. I want them to be more brown and not look washed out, you know, like old wood starts to turn gray, but I want these to still kind of look brown. Oh, I forgot. There's little mushrooms on there. You know what? Let me get some of that khaki. I don't have enough paint. I didn't leave enough paint on the brush. Sometimes that happens. Okay, so I'm gonna try to paint these little guys with this khaki right here. And there's a little tree fungus growing out of the side of this log. Too much in the wrong place. It happens. Also looks like I've got a bit of dry paint on there. Okay. Okay, so here's one of the things I'll show you, and this is kind of a trick you can use too when you're painting eyes, right? You can overpaint this and then come back and cover what you overpainted, which is what I should have done in the first place. So I painted too much of the khaki on there on purpose. I'm gonna give it just a minute, just a second to dry. And I'm gonna go back with my same little detail brush. I'm blowing on it. You can probably hear that, but you can't see it. Okay. And now what I will do is I've got some brown, and I'm just going to go back in I just did too much there, but that's okay. Got to get some here. Hey. Okay. And again, I went a little overboard with the brown there, so I'll just grab a tad more khaki, and I think I can get this. You probably can't even tell from there. Okay. And again, guys, none of this stuff has to be perfect, right? None of it has to be perfect. Because it is, you know, it's dirt and plants and dead wood and rocks, right? It does not have to be perfect. I just got to, I think I can manage to get into another color and get it up on the ferrule somehow. I'm just trying to I think that's alright. I think I need to get a little bit more brown in one spot, and then we can move on. I'm going to try real hard to finish this tonight so that you guys can actually see at least the finished base. Just got a little spot right there that's bothering me. Okay. Now, you may not even be able to notice what I'm about to do. I'm going to get a little bit of that bone white, and I'm going to highlight the very edges of these little mushrooms with it. Get rid of too much. And that's the trick, because I don't want to get too much on there. I'm just getting the little edge of that lip where they stick out. And you'll be able to see this much better in person, honestly, but and maybe a little bit on the top. Okay. And from where I'm sitting, they stand out much more now. And I think I'm going to need a little bit of a wash on the log too, just to make that pop, because that'll put a shadow. When I put the wash on it, I'll actually put a shadow between those two mushrooms. Like there's not enough space in between them for me to actually get in there with any other color. So that's kind of cool, man. Actually, you know what? A little bone white on those little rocks too. Across the top, hitting some of those highlights there. Okay, there we go. All right, now it looks all right, man. And once I get done painting everything, actually, I think maybe I should, because I think I'm ready to do the grass. So I'm gonna repaint the edges here where I went over. So now I need to, you know what? And this base is a little bit different from most of the ones I do. They have a straight, pretty much straight lip here, but this one has a little bit of a extra little bump. I don't know what to call it, like a bevel or something right there. And so it's kind of hard to get this line straight or to figure out where, if you can see it, you know, there's a bevel right here. So this is where it does get a little bit tricky. Again, nothing has to be perfect, but I do like to try to get as close as I can to just a straight line on these when I go back and do these bases like this. And I've still got a couple of spots where I'm gonna have to go back and do what I did before, because at first I didn't realize it was like that. So, in all truth, I've only been painting miniatures for a couple of years, maybe 3 years. Because like I said, it wasn't something that I thought I would be good at or that I would have the patience for, but I finally just decided, you know what, I'm going to try to do it. I'm just going to learn to be patient with it, and I'm patient with it. I'm not patient with everything by any means. Most stuff in my life I'm not patient with, but I'm pretty patient with painting minis. So I feel like Delilah up in here. I keep winding up because I'm focusing so much on this. I'm talking so quietly. And if you ever watch my YouTube videos, you know I don't talk quietly. I'm just real focused, and I'm sitting in a room by myself, and you know. And I know my daughter's out there listening to me. It's the only time I can get her to listen to me. It's the only time she listens to me. Okay, that's all right. That came out pretty good. So I don't want to put it back in the handle right now because, you know, that paint's still wet on the edge. All right. I'm going to get, actually, this little silicone spreader here that I find pretty handy for spreading glue on these kind of things, and just using some Elmer, good old Elmer's glue wall. And this thing is so small, guys. I just stuck my finger in the black paint. Okay, it's all right. Looks all right. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it. And this, I have trouble with this one because I've had this bottle of glue for a long time. All right, so just be careful. You don't have to put very much at all, okay? And you don't want to get it down on the edges of the base. Now I do want to get some up inside the log there, but I'm gonna use the spreader to get the glue in there. And you don't want to put it. You don't want to put the glue down. Yeah, see, I just got some there on the edge. Well, that's okay. I can fix it. All right. You don't want to put too much glue down because it could dry before it could start to dry before you can spread it. So I'm only putting it all the way around this because it's so small. Okay, and I'm not going to go all the way up to the edge of the rock everywhere. And so it's not so much that it'll dry before you can spread it. I mean, it can, but it's actually more of an issue that it may dry too quickly. If you put down too much glue at one time, it may dry too quickly after you spread it, because it's so thin. It may dry too quickly for you to actually get anything to stick to it. Thing that I do here is I just wipe some of that off with my finger. And while the glue's wet too, you can usually, while the glue's still wet, you can usually like scrape off any excess grass once you put the flocking down. And like I said, none of this has to be perfect, so like it's okay if you get a little bit of grass up on the log or up on the rocks. Like, that's really okay, because that's what it would be like in nature, right? Nature is not perfect. Nature is perfect. It's perfectly imperfect, but you know what I mean. Like everything organic is random. And so sometimes you've got grass growing up on rocks and inside of hollow logs and that kind of stuff, which is exactly what we will have here. I'll put a little bit right there. And the good thing about this is I can really just dump some on it. And it'll stick more heavily in some places than will in others. And so it'll just give it a really cool kind of random look. I think I got it. Let's see, like right here though, I bet that's going to dry too quick. But we'll see. Okay, I'm about to make a big mess. So here we go, guys. And the good thing about these little silicone spreaders is you just let the glue dry and you just peel it right off of that silicone. It's also a good trick if you do woodworking with your wood glue. So I've got a little bag of some like multiple colors of flocking. Wrong way. There's kind of some green and some yellow in there, and I've got a plastic spoon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little paper towel that I was using to clean off my brush. Set that right there. I'm going to get a spoonful of this flocking, and I'm just going to kind of sprinkle it around. And again, the paint's dry at this point, so it's okay to get it on the painted surfaces that you don't want it on, okay? I might have to rub a little bit off on the edges. Let's see, I can put a whole bunch on there, and it kind of comes off the way I want it to. Now, and I can also take this guy. It was a little wet, so not all of it came off, but I saved it. So you always want to do that onto something that you can catch the stuff, because you'll make less of a mess and you'll be able to salvage some of the extras. I did make a little bit of a mess there, but still. Okay, so now I need to try to just see how that just comes off. It just comes right off. No big deal. Because it's not, the paint's a little tacky there, but it's not sticky. So it would come off eventually anyway. That looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool. Right, let's see. So this is my black wash. It's going to be a pain in the butt to open because it gets all around the edges of this thing and gets stuck. So, and it's always a risk whether I will be able to open it without spilling it everywhere. So, got it. Haven't spilled it yet. Don't jinx me. The chair's not squeaky. It's me sliding around on the upholstery. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is black wash. Okay, actually, first thing I want to do. So notice there's some grass in this little footprint, and it's not stuck. But I'm going to have to glue his feet in there, and I just don't want that to be there. So, all right. So like I said, I think I'm going to hit these sticks. I'm going to hit the rock pretty good. So, and I'm just going to use my number 2 brush, big number 2 brush here. Now the black wash, I have a pretty specific recipe I use. You can check out Black Magic Craft if you guys know who that is. I mean, he's one of the biggest tabletop crafting YouTubers. I don't know if he's on Twitch or not, but he definitely is on YouTube. So he has a great recipe for black wash. He actually does an oil. He uses oil now, which he didn't used to. But this is his older recipe. It's distilled water and some ink. Is it distilled water? Or I can't remember. It's water with like all the impurities removed as much as possible. So, but it's it works really well. I like this a lot. So. And because I'm doing this, I wanted to get it done tonight so you guys could see it. Now I'm going to get all these little bits of grass and stuff. And you don't want to put too much on, but it's okay to spread it on. And then you can kind of go back. Like if you feel like it's too heavy in some places, you can go back over it. You can kind of get the moisture out of the brush and go back over it, and the brush will just kind of soak it right back up. But I do try to get over the whole surface. And you see how it has a flow aid in it as well. And you have some different options you can use for this kind of stuff. Like a lot of people will use what do they call it? Jet dry. That's stuff you put in the dishwasher. That actually is a pretty good flow aid, but I'm using a real flow aid for paint, so you can see how it flows into the little crevices and things. And when I put this on the little wooden bits, it brings out some of that detail. But you see, I'm actually getting some of my grass in my brush. That's not good, but not a whole lot I can do about it. I just wanted you guys to be able to see this, and unfortunately, that means I'm getting some grass bits in my black wash. But you can see, hopefully you can see how that kind of brings out the detail even more. And like I said, it's okay. Like the little bits of green in places where you didn't necessarily want them, that's really okay. But some of them, not so much. Like I said, normally I would wait to do the black wash, but I wanted you guys to see it. And maybe I should have waited. It's alright. It's alright. I think it looks pretty good, man. trying to decide if there's something else I need to do, but you can see now, I don't know, maybe you can see it now. There's a little more definition between the little mushrooms on the side of the log. Trying to get some of that black wash in between without getting too much on there. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty cool. And there are a couple of spots where like the black wash got into the grass, which again, I would have done under normal circumstances. The black wash after or before doing the grass, but I really, like I said, wanted you guys to kind of get a look at it. Oh shoot, now I'm spilling it. But not when I opened it. So, but here's what I'm going to do. So the little black spot, I don't know if you can see it right here. I'm going to put something in there. So there's some, oh man. Oh, it's dripping everywhere. All right. And it's on my fingers. Which happens pretty much every time. I just don't want to get it all over everything else. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one drop of glue right there. That's maybe a little too much, so I'm gonna do some other little fun stuff back here. I do have some little rocks, but they're like a yellowy brown, so I don't know if I'm gonna use those. But I think what I will do here is get some of my little leaves. Now, the good thing about the Elmer's glue all is that it will actually dry clear. I dropped a couple more leaves in some places where they're not going to stick, but I can do this too. Instead of just dropping straight up glue on it, you can get, this is a mixture of water and glue. And I'm just going to drop a little spot. And that's actually not a bad idea to do this after you put the grass down anyway. Just to seal it, but I'm gonna, because it's a miniature, I'm gonna spray a sealant on it for the paint, so it'll get sealed. But now, just gonna dump those off, and I didn't follow my own advice there. I should have, yeah, I should have done that on top of something else. But those are cool. Do you guys think I should put a little plant on there or something? Or is this good enough? Actually, you know what I should do? What I absolutely should do? Because one of those leaves landed on top of this guy, and it looked really cool. So I'm gonna see if I can stick one right on there. That looks pretty sweet. We got 10 minutes. I'll have to clean up those leaves. Now I do have to finish painting this guy, the Displacer beast, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and glue him on. So if you guys do minis a lot, you probably know plastic glue. You can't use that stuff with this. This is because resin, which some people I learned don't know the difference. I don't 100% know exactly what the difference is. But I do know that resin is not plastic, and so those plastic glues that fuse plastic pieces together by melting them do not work on resin. So just be aware of that. Super glue works wonderfully. Now I was trying to get another leaf in that glue, and I can't get it there. Okay. Again, the Elmer's glue all glue dries pretty much clear, so I'm going to put a little dab of super glue in this spot and in this one. And I've got to look, see exactly where. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I've got to put super glue into the footprints. There's another one here. He's got 6 feet, which I always forget. Right there. There's one right back here. 2. He's going to have a little leaf under his foot. Okay, so now it would help to put glue on both his feet and the footprints, but it is not necessary. It just will make the hold a little bit stronger. So I'm just going to do this and get him in here where he's supposed to be. Try to get this in position so you guys can get a good look at him. Cannot get the camera to focus when I lift it up, but no, he fell off. It wasn't quite, I thought I had him, but he wasn't quite dry enough. Okay, so he looks cool though. See, there's what he looks like. More or less, if you can see him on his base. That's pretty awesome. I do need to finish painting him though, so. We got a few minutes left. Anybody got a question? Anybody got a concern? No Displacer beasts were harmed in the making of this live stream. This is my wonderful visor. I look so cool in this. I wish you guys could have seen me wearing it. That's what we in the business call sarcasm. Hey, thanks for joining me tonight, guys. We got about 5 minutes left, so just want to say thanks, and I appreciate y'all being here with me, hanging out with me, those of you who are, and please take a minute, check out patreon.com/shortreststudios. Consider supporting the channel, and I really appreciate it. This Friday, got a brand new episode coming out at 9:45 a.m. on YouTube. Of the regular Short Rest Studios show. You can check that out, please. That would mean a lot. I've got one out there right now about 10 great TTRPGs that are not D&D that you should really check out. I did a series recently about how to run some different low-level monsters, about the ways that we run them wrong, and here's how you should run them. So for D&D, that's specifically for D&D, but I like to talk about a lot of other games too, so go check those out, and check out the Patreon. Come visit me on TikTok, on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Blue Sky. I have a Twitter account, but I don't really post there anymore. But you can come find me in all those places, and I would love to interact with you some more, talk with you outside of just this stuff. And also, I have a Discord server that you are welcome to come be part of. So I'm actually going to go ahead and grab my keyboard here and put that in the chat so that you can get it while I'm sitting here. Since I'm not painting anymore, and you can come join the Discord, and I'm gonna give you this link here. There is the Short Rest Studios Discord server. And if you have not joined that already, please come and join us. And if you support the channel on Patreon, one of the benefits that you get is access to a members-only channel of the Discord server. And I'll be honest with you, right now, the Discord server, there's not a ton of people. I'm still a pretty small channel, relatively new to all this, and folks are joining, though. We've had a couple of folks join in recent days, and as the community grows, those different channels will be more meaningful. Like that members only, guild members only channel will be much more meaningful. There'll be more discussion happening, and it'd be awesome if you could be part of that on the ground level. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a night, guys. I don't want to just sit here and yap and waste your time, but please check out that Discord server, check out the Patreon, check out the YouTube channel, come visit me on socials. I put all the links to all my socials on the Twitch channel. And if you are watching me on YouTube tonight and you prefer Twitch, I am on Twitch. You can come watch me there. And check out, don't forget, if you're into video game streaming, check out Lixie MC, Lixie_MC on Twitch. And I will see you next time on the Short Rest Studios